Heavy Petting with Cheri Hardman. Today's guest is Deadair Dennis Maler. Hey, Dennis.
Hey, what's up, Cheri? Thanks for having me.
I'm glad that you're here. I see that I saw that you have a friend down there. Would you like to introduce us?
I do. This is my former foster dog, now adopted dog, sister.
Sister?
Sister, yeah. I feel like the people who named her were well-meaning white people who wanted to give her an ethnic name because they left it on the hard R. So
All right. How old is she?
we think she's about 4. They found her on the side of the highway in Memphis, Tennessee, and then shipped her up here. So they think she's
Oh,
about 4.
wow.
Yeah.
So you were fostering her.
Yeah, and then she was supposed to be just a foster, and then we decided to take our relationship to the next level when she farted in front of me. So
Mm-hmm. Have you fostered animals before?
no, I've had dogs growing up. My family had dogs and everything. I just figured during the quarantine, I should do something with my free time since I was furloughed.
Oh,
I should do something good for humanity, and I wanted someone to talk to who wasn't my roommate. So
yeah. So was it really like the farting that pushed you over the edge, or?
well, it's the fact that we don't think she ever had a home, that she never had owners. She really just bonded right to me, and I felt bad abandoning her into someone else's
Right.
arms. So I decided to just keep her for the time being.
Oh. So does she have any quirks or do any tricks or anything unusual?
Tricks, no. Unusual, yes. Like she couldn't walk down steps when I got her. She didn't know how to walk down stairs. I literally had to teach her how to walk downstairs by moving each one of her legs down the steps
Oh.
like I'm creating a stop motion animation.
So does she do okay now, or is she
Yeah,
still
she's great coming
hesitant?
down here. She used to just stand at the top of the stairs and stare down at me like Buffalo Bill, just be like, it puts the lotion on its skin or it gets the hose again. But now she's just up and down the stairs all the time perfectly.
Oh, that's funny. Well, she's really cute. So
She
well,
is.
now where do you guys live?
We're in Boston, Massachusetts.
Oh, okay. So I'm probably not going to get to meet her anytime soon.
Well, hopefully, if the world goes back to his and I can go do a nationwide comedy tour, maybe, and I'll take her with me if I
You can
can.
bring her with you. Yeah, like Steve-O brings Wendy with him.
Or
Um,
how Eliza brings both her dogs with her,
yeah.
the former Blanche and now Tiang Fu.
Uh,
I might listen to too much of her podcast and I know the names of both her dogs.
um, so if sister was going to write a review of you as an owner, what do you think she would say?
Right now, since I've only had her during a pandemic, she's like, he really sits around the house a lot. Occasionally go for walks, and he thinks he's faster than me, but I'm really just holding back to make him feel good.
Well, she probably likes it that our dogs are over the moon that we're home all the time.
Yeah,
So she
she
probably
is.
likes that.
She has a home, and she has somebody to be with her every moment of it because where else is there to go right
Mm.
now?
Um, I didn't ask you. Well, the day that you first got her, tell me about that. What was that like, and what was she like that very first day?
Well, she is a very very friendly dog when it comes to people. So when we drove out, I live in Boston. We met. They shipped her up from Memphis, Tennessee, through different like systems and whatnot, and I had to
Right.
meet them out in an area of Massachusetts, Western Massachusetts called Worcester, Central Mass. It's about 40
Hmm.
minutes, an hour west of Boston. And immediate, she was just like, "Oh, hi, person. Hello, person. I like you, person." Um, and we
Oh, it was love at first sight for
back in my
her.
buddy's car and drove her back, and the entire time she's just like, "Hey, I'm so happy. What's going on, people?" Like, for what I assume, like, and I assume most dog adoptions to them must be alien abductions. To her, this was the most willing and easiest alien abduction ever.
Oh, that's good. That's a good, happy story. Now we're going to switch, and we're going to talk about heavy petting of the human variety. Now, I don't know how old you are, but I always have to qualify here because a lot of my younger guests have never heard the term heavy petting before.
What? How is that not a term that I'm 39, so I'm definitely familiar. I'm more familiar with the term than I am the act. So that lets you
Yeah.
in on how my lifestyle is.
Well, I think it's the guests that are like 30 and younger that have never heard it. So,
Really, that's
um,
weird. I can't imagine that term. Well, I guess it's because the under 30 crowd, they're not courting each other. They're just swiping and fucking, and there's no in between. There's no foreplay. There's none of that.
Right.
It's just like straight from picture face to face to sat on face. So
There you go. Yeah, so that's pretty much what we've decided. So heavy petting just meant going to like third base. Now I don't know if they use those euphemisms anymore, but but as far as my show goes, we just encompass anything from dating to sex to relationships, anything like that. If you have any interesting stories.
And I'm conflicted on which stories to tell you. Should I tell you the long story or the short story? And if I go with the short story, do I tell you the short story about having sex with a stripper, or do I tell you the other short story about having sex with a stripper?
Ooh. Well,
I'll tell the shorter of the two, because that one is a fun one. So,
okay.
In my some of my lower moments of life, I was drunk and I had too much money in my pocket, and I went to a strip club. And of course, I'm a total mark. I'm just a short, fat, ugly dude, drunk with a handful of ones. I'm the perfect mark for, hey, do you want a private dance? And that's what happened. We went in to the private room, and she's grinding. It's like, hey, we can go for a little bit extra, etc. You get caught into that trap and you go for it. Next thing I know, she's. By the way, I want to point out this was an attractive stripper, because there's not always attractive strippers out there. By the way, like I live in Boston, but I'm originally from Boston. Excuse me, I live in Boston, but I'm originally from Baltimore. So I'm very familiar with the area of Baltimore called the Block, which is strippers with gunshot wounds, basically. It's the red light district of Baltimore. This was not the red light district of Baltimore. This was this was the kind of girl that she's so pretty that she had a rich father who didn't show up to her dance recitals. You know what I mean? That's the attractive level of attractive. Not the kind of stripper who's only skinny because she has a steady diet of Newports and Mountain Dew.
Right. Got it.
So she's got my unit out, and she's going at it, and bless her heart, because she goes, "Oh my God, you're the biggest I've ever had," and I'm like, "Well, then there's somebody else in this room, because I got a lot. Look, I'm a nice guy. I'll call you back, but trust me, the biggest is not." Like, all right, let's put it this way, lady. I'm paying you for your skills, not your acting skills. You don't have to sell me. Transaction's already been made. I'm not going to leave a better tip because you made me feel better about this. There's really only one end to this whole transaction. And while she's going at it on me, jerking me off, and I don't know why I was dancing around the phrase there, but so she's jerking me off and blowing me, and she's like, "You really need to hurry up and finish before somebody walks in here and catches us." I was like, "Catches us? There's a camera right there." She's like, "What? There's a camera?" I'm like, "Do you even work here?" She's like, so instead of stopping, she just takes her hand and puts her hand between her hand and the camera, as if the camera's not going to know what's going on behind her hand. And then I go, "I thought I was the biggest you ever had." And she goes, "Oh yeah."
And to go to portrait instead of landscape. Yeah.
So yeah, that's my shorter of the two having sex with stripper stories.
That's funny. I'm amazed that you have more than one stripper story.
Yeah, I in Baltimore we like our debauchery.
So I have some clarifying questions. So like the Block, are all the strippers there kind of I don't want to say ugly, but rode hard and put away wet, or just some of them?
I feel like the best term to describe them is an old skateboard term. So when you would be skating and you'd bail and crash and you'd get a big road rash on your arm, we would refer to that as gnarly. These strippers are gnarly in the Block. They're gnarly. Okay. And by the way, the Block is 2 blocks away from the police station in downtown Baltimore too. So it's like, it's the perfect location, because if things, when things eventually turn sour on the Block, the cops can easily just walk right up to everything. It saves them a lot of gas money.
Yeah. Okay, so at this other place, are all the strippers pretty much pretty.
Yeah, this was one of the more. This is more. This was actually, you know what? I forgot to tell this part of the story. It's in Baltimore City, in East Baltimore City, Southeast Baltimore City. There's a neighborhood called Fells Point, and this strip club was in Fells Point, and it's called the Ritz, and it's more of a what you would commonly describe as a gentleman's club. It's actually where they shot all the strip club scenes for the first season of The Wire.
Oh,
So yeah,
interesting.
yeah. So not only did I get blown and jerked off by a stripper from there, it also has better IMDb credits than I do.
That's fabulous. Now, see, with women, like if we go, like we don't really have strip clubs like that. We go to like Thunder from Down Under or Chippendales, right?
Yeah,
And
which
they
is,
all,
those are strip clubs more or less.
right.
Same kind of debauchery goes on.
And they all look great, but there's always one that's just kind of not as good looking as the other ones. And the women, they shun him.
Oh,
Like he's like an Amish guy who got caught using electricity. I mean, the women all just like, oh, yeah, it's interesting how that
you
happened.
know what? I applaud women who want to go to those events and that they patronize them and have fun the way that they should have fun appropriately, sometimes inappropriately. But also at the same time, like guys, we don't have that problem. If she could be cross-eyed with cesarean scars, and we're still gonna tip her at the end of the night. Like we're just a little more easier to please, I guess, as men, or maybe we're just we feel the emotional pain of the ugly duckling at the strip club.
Yeah, I hear that. All right, so I don't know if you've already answered this question for me because I always ask it. So, what's the best compliment you've received on your naked body?
I mean, the best compliment, honestly, or the best compliment in general? Because we clearly, she was lying. Or
Okay,
for a stripper, she's very shunned, very, very, very prudish.
okay.
I don't know about my body, but I know the best, truest compliment I ever been given from a former lady friend was that I'm actually a really good kisser. And it
Oh,
was one of those like, oh yeah, it wasn't like, oh yeah, you're a good kisser. It was more like, oh yeah, no, you're actually really good at the kissing part. Like you're good at that. Like as
oh,
in that, like, hey, oh no, don't worry, that you've got on lock. Which I'm like, oh yeah, it's one of those compliments that not only are genuine, it's a surprise to them that they are giving you this compliment. They're like, oh no, if you don't know, now you know, kind of tones.
well, that's good because that's important. That's very important.
Yeah,
All
I
right.
think it is.
So,
And I've never said this out loud, but I'm going to say it right now. Here's the exclusive on your podcast. I think the reason why I'm a halfway decent kisser is because if you've ever read a comic book called The Watchmen, there is a dialogue from Mr. Manhattan where he's making out with Sally Jupiter, Silk Spectre, the character in the comic book. And one of the things he says is that every time they kiss, when they're finished kissing, she kisses him lightly again on the lips as if it's a signature, like a signature, like they're making out, and then that's a signature. And I read that comic book as a teenager, and then I started doing that with women, and I guess that worked. So comic books made me a better kisser.
wow. And you got a signature move. I thought you were going to say you were so good because of all that time you spent practicing with your hand, like,
No, yeah, I mean, I get very dried, chapped hands, so practicing on my hands was not an enjoyable experience.
gotcha. So other than this right now, what's the best thing that happened to you today?
Nothing. My computer almost broke. No, best thing that's happened to me today. I ate a pint of Ben and Jerry's cookie dough ice cream.
Mm,
Yeah.
yeah, my best thing had to do with ice cream too, so I get that. All right, so how can people
The
find
way
you?
you say that makes it sound so much dirtier than it probably was.
Nah, I
Or
just ate
appropriately dirty, who knows?
ice cream for breakfast. That's all it was.
Oh, okay.
Um,
Fair enough. I'm
so if
thinking of
people
like
want to
I'm thinking of
go
the
ahead.
whipped cream scene from Varsity Blues.
Varsity Blues, I don't know that.
And never mind. Listen, hey listeners, if you've seen the movie Varsity Blues and you know the scene that I'm talking about between James Vanderbeek and Allie, and the female actress from that movie, call in at 1-800. Okay.
Okay, so if people want to find you on
Larder,
social
Allie
media,
Larder was her name. Allie Larder was the
there
name
you
of the
go.
person I was thinking. It was going to bug me if I didn't look it up.
I know.
If I didn't come up with it. There you go. Sorry.
Okay. How can people find you if they want to see your work or
Well, you can find me everything about me at deadairdennis.com. DeadairDennis.com. That is obviously where I list all my shows. It's also linked to all my social media and the easiest way to find pictures of my dog that I post on the internet.
Sweet. Now, how'd you get the name Dead Air?
Deadair Dennis is a nickname. I worked in radio for 22 years, and one of the jobs I did was I was a content producer, aka censor, for a morning show. And we didn't actually have a title for the job, so we just jokingly referred to it as the Deadair Dennis position.
Got
and
it.
then through the years, it just stuck, and you know, I like alliteration.
Cool.
Also,
All
it's
right.
ironic because I never stop talking. So it's like calling a tall guy. The dead air means silence, and I never stop talking. So it's like calling a tall guy tiny.
All right. Well, hey, it was nice meeting you and meeting Sister. Thanks for being on the show.
Pleasure as always. Thank you for having me, and I'll see you again soon.
All right. Have a good one.
Bye.
What's on her mind? She's a big, big girl in a skinny woman's world. Now she's a big, big girl in a skinny woman's world. Now she's a big, big girl, big, big girl.